Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Action Popcast. With me, you know I'm Nick. And to the side of me, Mr. Luke Reynolds. Luke, sir, how are you? Other than dealing with me getting wound up backstage because stuff's not working.
I'm good, mate. Yeah, look, hey, look, you're the audio guy. If you're not happy, you're not happy. It's got to be right.
Wow, I could stop being a diva, couldn't I? I could.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
It won't be you, Nick, if you stop being a diva.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, well, thank you for coming along this evening, Luke. And in a minute,
Pleasure.
I will get into saying hello to people in the comment section, I think, because people have showed up on a school night as well, on a blooming school night.
Thank
and it's
you,
late.
people.
But I think tonight's subject's a really good subject. I think the film is a really cool film, and I'm sure everyone in here will have seen it, love and appreciate it. But before we get into that, how's your week been, mate? What's going on with Mr. Reynolds?
Well, yeah, I mean, my week's pretty standard, really. I mean, everyone's sort of, we've just said there, it's late on a school night. I've got to be honest, my week's not bad because Thursday night's not a school night for me. I only work 4-day week.
Show off.
Yeah, so my week's been pretty straightforward. Most weeks are pretty straightforward, to be fair. But yeah, obviously I enjoy a nice 3-day weekend. So happy days for me tonight. Sorry, everyone else that's at work in the morning though.
Well, yeah, I'll think of you when the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I still get up at 6:30 on a Friday. But
you're a legend. You're a legend among men, Mr. Reynolds.
Not too much. Not too much. Not too much after you.
But before we get into the subject, I am going to say hello to some of the faces in the chat. So
Let's do it.
Who have we got in this evening? We've got Emma C. Hello,
hey,
Emma. Good to see you. I'm not going to embarrass you with the flashcard thing tonight because I can't remember where I put it. So you escaped scot-free. But thank you for coming in. We have Mrs. S.
Mrs. S. Hey.
She's poorly. She had an operation this week, so she's on the mend now, but she's been poorly. So get well soon, Vic. Thanks for coming along.
Absolutely.
She's rest up and all that and get yourself well.
Trooper.
We have G-Force Racing, our G-Force saying, Hope Pickleball was worth this late start.
We didn't end up playing.
No.
We didn't end up playing in the end. We didn't end up with enough people, so we had to cancel. I thought it was a bit late notice then to say, hey, we can do it earlier. So yeah,
it's fine, man. It's absolutely fine.
It didn't happen.
And we have a long time ago, Martin. He says, evening all.
Yeah,
so after the boxing on Saturday night, me and Martin stayed up quite late with a couple of others. We were both drunk, chatting on Instagram chat. So that
very good.
That was good fun. Martin got to hear me nerding out about boxing.
Yeah, well, I'm not a boxing fan, so I wouldn't have been able to appreciate that conversation.
Yeah, it was just me trying to explain to Martin how the belts work. Because anyway, let's not bore people with that because they'll fall asleep and they'll leave.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Who else we got? We got Uncle Keith. Keith Knight. He says, evening all. Evening, Keith. Good to see you,
Keith.
sir. Thank you for popping along, mate. Keith joined us on Saturday night as well. Always a good laugh. Let's get down a bit further. Another one in the chat. Our Sai Manga Fandanga.
Hey,
hello, mate. And of course, if you didn't see last week's episode with Sai, we did one of these on Enter the Dragon, and it's well worth a watch. This series, because I'm really creative. I'm not creative at all. I've given this series a name. I've called it Real Impact, like REEL Impact.
REEL, yeah, like it.
It's cheesy, isn't it? It's best I could come up with. It'll do.
Yeah, it's all right.
So welcome to the Real Impact series, people.
Real Impact.
I mean, it only took me 4 episodes to bloody name the thing, but there we go. We got there.
Hey, that's all right.
We also have in the chat Super Spanner himself, Gerard O'Connor. Says, very good evening
Gerard.
to you all, mother truckers. Gerard has the spanner of power. So don't abuse that power, Gerard. We also have in this evening, we have Travels and More with Jason. He says, hi all. Hi, Jason.
Good to
see you, man. Always good to see you. We also have Tree Theodore. He says, hello. Hello, Tree. Cheers for popping along.
Not seen Tree about for a while, actually. I've not seen him around for a bit.
It's a secret squirrel.
Yeah, good to see
He
him.
pops in, he pops out. Nah, Tree's awesome. Tree's awesome, but thank you for coming along. I just make sure I don't miss anyone. We also have Rolando Flores. He says,
Rolando.
Sup.
Hey, Rolando.
Sup. Sorry about that. I'm saying sup, all those nice poppy sounds in your ears at home. Sorry about that. Sup. I've got to stop doing that. There we go. Who else have we got? We have Only Vader's Girl, or Vader's Girl 28, as she'll always be known to me. Kat. Hello, Kat. She says, hey, guys.
Hey, Kat.
Good to see you. Thank you for popping along, Kat. We also we have the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Vintage Toy Rush.
Oh, come
our VTR Dave.
How are you doing, Dave?
Hope you're well, mate. Thank you for popping along. We also have Coxie's Toy Cantina. Evening, chaps and chapettes. Evening, Coxie. Good to see you in the chat again, sir. Just scrolling through. We also have Geek Strong. Sup, Geek Strong? Good to see you in the chat, mate.
All right, Dino.
Yep. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Because Dino, he does speak remarkably like Stallone, doesn't he? So, you know.
Yes.
He does.
He's a big guy.
And he's a big guy. Big arms.
He's a big
Very
guy.
big arms.
He is a big guy.
Glad to have you along. Put your teeth back in, Nicholas. Glad to have you along tonight. This evening, Dino. Yep, you know what I mean. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. We also have Tim.
Hey up, Tim. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Tim, mate. How are you? He's saying hello to us and the chat, and good to see you. Who else have we got? There's loads of people in.
We've got a lot of people in. It's great.
We got Steve, the Steve Bratano Lounge. Hello. Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you in one of these before, but good to see you, sir. Thank you for popping along. Thank you for coming in. We also have Scuba Pete. Yo.
Scuba.
Good to see you, Scuba. Hello, mate.
See you. Our Pete. Our Pete's always in.
And that is us at the end of the list. If I have missed any of you, I'm giving Connor the opportunity now to do what he did last time. Just call me a knob and I will call you out. I will say hello.
I think you got everybody.
I think I got everyone. That was a good attempt. It's always hard to get through people. So this evening's chat is about First Blood. Actually just called First Blood. The Rambo was added later. But we may just keep referring to it as Rambo First Blood for the purpose of this stream this evening. But let's go straight into it. Luke.
Yes.
When did you first see First Blood? When was your first exposure to this movie, mate?
Well, the first time I saw this movie was certainly a time when I shouldn't have been seeing this movie. So there's a little bit of a backstory to it. So when we were younger, me and my brother, we were sort of maybe seven or eight. Now, the reason why I say that is on a Sunday evening when we were kids, Sunday evening was the evening we used to go see our grandparents. So this was my dad's mum and dad. And he had a younger brother who at this point still lived at home. So my mum and dad were still together at this point. So we will have been, my mum and dad split when we were 9. So they were still together at this point. So however old we were younger than 9. And we would go around to my grandparents on a Sunday evening. My uncle still lived at home at that point. And we loved it if we got there and we could see his bedroom light on, because we knew he was in, and we knew that generally what he would do, he was a bit of a punk at that point and he was into a bit of all sorts. So we'd go in and he'd always come down and go, all right, lads, I'm watching a movie upstairs here. You're going to come and watch? And that was great because we always knew he would let us watch a movie that we clearly shouldn't have been watching. And this particular night, I remember, was First Blood. So we must have only been 7 or 8 when we watched this movie for the first time. 7 or 8. Me and my brother watched it together, obviously with my uncle. And I just remember thinking from that moment, like, this is the best film ever, you know. And at that point, it was probably a similar time that I sort of watched my first Star Wars movie, because I think sort of around 85, 86 maybe, Star Wars didn't come out on VHS for so long, and we didn't see him at the cinema, so it was around the same time. So Rambo First Blood, once you get outside of Star Wars for me as an adult, is right up there with what I would call some of my, if not my favourite movie outside of Star Wars. So I first watched it when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I've loved it ever since.
So roughly what year would that have been, just out of curiosity?
I saw it. It will have been around 86, 87.
So not long after it came out, really, then, because it came out in 82.
Yeah, so yeah, probably 4 or 5 years after.
Well, I say not long, but this is quite an old film now.
It is quite a long time, but yeah, it would have been around 85, 86. I saw it.
Yeah, so my story's a little bit different. I was sat at home with my parents, bored out of my mind because I was a kid. I had no money. I was about 15, and Dad put First Blood on. It was on BBC, and he said, "Oh, let's watch this." And because I'd seen bits of the Rambo cartoon as a kid, little bits of it. What was that called? Force of Freedom or Freedom Force?
Force of Freedom.
Force of Freedom. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I was under the impression what I was going to get was a man running around with no top on, bandana, big machine gun, just shooting loads and loads of people, which, as we know, is what happened in the later films.
You kind of got that.
But that's not what First Blood is it? First Blood...
Well, the second half of it isn't too far away when you think about it.
It's not, but do you see what I mean? I was expecting it to be a full-blown, like, desert war...
Oh, yeah.
Everything. And to see the start of it, to see how it goes, yes, he goes into the woods, he goes into the forest and everything kicks off. And we'll discuss that a bit in a moment as to what happens in the story. But I was expecting First Blood, just from what I'd seen, to be what First Blood Part 2 is and what Rambo 3 is.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be such a character piece and to have such a strong story, as strong a story as it had, really well written thing. Yeah. So I was really taken back by it. And even at that young age, I was like, this film is awesome. This film is absolutely incredible. And I was blown away by it. And then, of course, I seeked out watching at that time, we had Rambo 2 and we had Rambo 3. There wasn't the very creatively named Rambo, which is the fourth film. And there certainly wasn't that abomination, which is Rambo Last Blood.
Right, yeah.
I'm glad we're not going to talk about
that. Yeah, I'm glad we're not talking about that tonight.
Yeah, that wasn't the finest moment for Rambo.
That was different, yeah.
But yeah, so let's go for a couple of things. I mean, it was made on a budget of approximately $15 million. And at the box office, so this isn't adjusted, at the box office at the time, it took around 125 million globally. That's how well this film did. This film did that well. But interestingly, a lot of critics slammed this film. They said it was over-violent. They didn't like the violence in it. Which the film certainly has its violent elements to it. But
well, yeah, I mean, it certainly does, yeah.
It's not like... So, for instance, Rambo First Blood. First Blood has one kill in the whole film. One human death.
Yep.
Right? Rambo First Blood Part 2... 75. That is so far apart.
Yeah, I mean, you'll read. I mean, I know you obviously have, but you'll read if you look at your interesting facts about First Blood. You'll read the fact that they'll say Rambo doesn't actually kill anybody. Now we had a discussion about this.
We did
earlier on. Now, I guess it's open to interpretation. But if anyone said to me, "Does Rambo kill anybody in First Blood?" I'd probably say yes. Because I think, and if we're going to get technical, at one point it's actually stated in the movie. I mean, Will Teasel, when he's having a go with Mitch, because when he goes, "Why don't you let state police handle this?" and he says, that's Art Gull and blah blah blah. And then when he's talking to Troutman in the tent, he says he's killed a police officer for Christ's sake. So it states it in the movie that he believes he's killed a police officer. So. Yes, okay, he's not got his seatbelt on in the helicopter, but if Rambo doesn't throw that rock at the helicopter, Art Galt doesn't die. So
absolutely. And I've had a similar discussion with someone, and they were like, but if Rambo,
and you could say,
but Rambo didn't kill him directly. But you could say if Galt didn't lean out of a helicopter, like not obeying the orders of Teasel, firing at Rambo on a rock face, however it comes
is open
about
to interpretation, but
to me, Rambo's action caused the death. Rambo's action resulted in that death.
And if Rambo could see him sitting out the side of the helicopter, now if he doesn't intend if Rambo's intention throwing that rock isn't the intention of hopefully they lose control and he fall, why is he throwing it? What is he trying to do if he's not trying to, you know? But then I think, like you say, that's then open to interpretation. So, for example, let's just, I know we're going to get into it in a bit more detail, but let's just jump into the woods where he's set all the booby traps.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say the part where the branches fly out and they've got all the spikes on, he's carved all the spikes in there, and instead of hitting the guy in the legs, they hit him in the stomach, and he dies. Has Rambo killed him? Because the act of the tree and the spikes has killed him. So has Rambo indirectly killed him? You would say Rambo's killed him.
That goes into the argument. Did if Rambo shoots someone, did Rambo kill them or did the bullet kill them? How far into it do you want to go?
Yeah, exactly. Where is the line? For me, I would say Rambo probably killed Art Gold. That I would say he killed him. That would be my opinion.
No, I agree with you. It's now my missus is really tame. She's such a you've spoke to Carla many a time on the phone. You don't know how she puts up with me. But even so, Carla watched this film for the first time last night, and I said to her before it starts, "What do you think this is going to be about?" And she's like, "Oh, it's a war film." I was like, not really. I said, "Watch it." She loved the film. She absolutely loves Stallone anyway. She got a thing for old men,
Absolutely.
and I'm, But she was actually like, yes, when Galt came out of the helicopter. I was like, yeah, because they...
Well, and I suppose we're getting into... But this is why, obviously I assume we'll probably speak about it later, but for me, this is why First Blood is a brilliant movie. And it far outweighs, the others in the franchise. Because the whole concept... Once you get to Rambo 2... and Rambo 3, he's the hero. He's billed as the hero. The whole premise of the movie is he's the hero being sent in to save hostages and save people or rescue people, whatever. But in the first movie, the reason why it's so good is because you're almost... It's an anti-hero movie. Rambo is kind of the good guy, but he's the bad guy. He's portrayed as the bad guy in the movie, but he's the good guy. So you're rooting for Rambo, and you're against the police. Now, technically, the police are the good guys, because they're the police. But they're 100%. Not, because Will Teasel has caused this purely by just being a jerk, because he just didn't like the look of him. So you're kind of rooting for the bad guy, and you're rooting against the good guys, even though really we know Rambo is the good guy and the cops are the bad guys. That's why I think it's such a good movie, because it's span on its head, So yeah, in the end, you're rooting against the police.
You are 100%. The police become the enemy force. Right, I'm going to go into a few comments, then I'll go into a few other little facts about the film and that, and then we'll discuss a bit more of the plot and what really kicked Rambo off in this movie. If you're cool with that, Luke. Just to get where I am in the comments, I thought I did read Jack. Connor says, "You did miss me, you knob." So if I did miss you, there you go. Travels and more with Jason says, "Oi, knob, lol, just because." There you go. It always gets them going, doesn't it? So, Jace also says, "I watched this film for the first time when I was 12. And from 12 to 14, my best mate would rent and watch Rambo about 200 times. Yep. Yeah. It's a very rewatchable film."
Absolutely.
Gerard says, "A timeless piece of film." Yeah. It is a timeless piece of film, and I think one of the things that really helps with that in the film is it's all practical effects. There's no real CGI, so that does help keep the look of the film. Although you can see it's from when it was made, in the 80s, it doesn't age it. It doesn't have that CGI or the bad special effects to age it. It's a film of its time, but it still looks fresh. I think that's one really good thing with this movie. Let's see, who else have we got? G-Force says, "The booby traps in the forest were mint."
Yeah,
they were. I mean, more animals. That's what annoyed Carla in this film, is that the animals were getting killed. The Dobermans, and of course Rambo had to eat, so he took out the wild boar.
Yeah.
But again, you don't actually see those deaths, you just hear the squeal.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. And Gerard says the source material is definitely worth reading. Yet I'm going to go a little bit into the differences between the book a little bit later on.
Well, I'm not a book reader, so you'll teach me a few things there, I'm sure.
Well, I'm going to level with you. My reading is absolutely terrible, and I didn't have time to find a an ebook to listen to it before this stream, but I have watched a couple of things about the differences between it. So I'm going from secondhand knowledge, but I can still point out a few of the things a bit later on. What's Coxie said here? I saw Rambo First Blood for the first time the same day I saw Predator around my mate's house on a dodgy VHS. Now that would have been a hell of a day.
That's a good movie day. Yeah. That's a good movie day. Wow.
That is. Yeah. If ever there was a day to have watching movies, that would have been it.
Yeah.
We used to. I used to hang out a lot with my cousin when I was younger, and in his road there was this bloke, and he was the dodgiest bloke ever. He just seemed dodgy. He'd answer the door and he'd just be like, "You all right?" But you go in, we'd go around there because his whole front room was just full of bookcases, full of like a video library, and he would just let us borrow films. We'd borrow a film, we'd go, we'd come back and knock a bit later. Can we borrow another film? Yep. It was bizarre. You'd never allow it now.
If my mum... I was about to say, and isn't it awesome that this is acceptable back in the 80s? And if you did that now...
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? If Jack said to me, I went round this strange guy's house and he's just lending me DVDs, I'd be like, you ain't bloody... Get out of there, lad.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Oh, dear.
What's our VTR say? Rambo 4.
Population of Burma is killed, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's such a violent film.
I've got time for Rambo 4 though. It's so brutal.
Yeah, I like Rambo, or Rambo 4, we'll say for the purpose of this, because although it's over the top, it is a bit. It does go back a bit more to the grit. But anyway, we're here for First Blood.
The video man that used to come around in his van. So you used to have a mobile video shop. That's
we used to have one of those.
That's so 80s, isn't it? That's on the same level as having the Pop Man used to come around and. Yeah.
This guy used to come to ours. It was in a blue Transit or a blue Ford van, whatever it was. He'd open the side door, nothing dodgy, and it would have shelves in there, and it would have like these video cases. And Mum and Dad would get a film for them, and I tell you the one I used to get all the time as a young kid was Mighty Mouse. How many times?
Mighty Mouse. Wow.
Back in the day, mate. Back in the day. That was probably around 91.
Video van, man, that's brilliant.
Yeah. G-Force.
So you just miss video shops, though. I miss video.
I miss it massively.
Yeah, Galt was a dick. Yeah.
Just to do a little bit of cross-promotion for our previous stream I did with Kim Gonick on APC. If you want to get into the nostalgia of the days of video shops and physical media that we no longer have, I have got a show called The Decline of Physical Media. So if you want to have a bit of a reminisce, go check that out after this.
I miss the video shop. It was the thing, wasn't it? Going out to the video shop on a Friday night or a Saturday night was a thing. Let's go to the video shop. You got excited about it.
100%. Keith Knight says his direct actions led to the death of someone. So yes, the kill is his.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm skipping past anyone, please don't be offended. We've got a lot to get through, so I'm just looking for things that are where we're at, sort of in our conversation at the moment. But I am reading, and we do appreciate you taking part. Gerard says, killing's as easy as breathing. Later films, our boss, yep. So anyway, let's go back to where we are. Before I get into some of the cast and whatnot.
I'm just seeing Connor Fuller's comment.
What's...
But First Blood is just a documentary of my upcoming trip to Birmingham this week. But I think the last time we went to NEC, did he not trek through the woods and stuff to get to the hotel? I think that's what he's referring to, isn't it? Did he trek through the woods and stuff to get to the hotel rather than say like the road or
something nuts? Something nuts always happens, and I did see there. Sorry to skip past. PGM's come along. Hey, PGM.
Yeah, Pete.
Good to see you, mate. Thank you for popping along. Let's have a. Do you know what? I'm just going to be honest. This happens every show because I always drink a Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi for every show. I have to keep muting myself because I'm like, burping on camera is not cool. But yeah, anyway, let's get a little bit into this. So the composer for this film was Jerry Goldsmith, the legendary Jerry Goldsmith. Films he'd scored Planet of the Apes. And, Chinatown and Patton. So got some very cool things. Went on to score Gremlins and Total Recall, amongst many films. So there were a few of his previous films and some of his films that came after Rambo. I'm aware of his name as a composer. It's popped up. But reading up on him a bit today, legendary guy. Worked on a lot of the films we all like. So fantastic Scott. I love the music in Rambo. I think it's
absolutely
suits the movie very well. Always
100%.
Gets the mood.
100%, yeah.
So Jerry Goldsmith did, I believe he's no longer with us, but Jerry Goldsmith did fantastic things in that movie. And that's the thing, when you've got a good score, you've got good action, good script, and let's face it, Rambo says bugger all in this movie. Man, a few words.
Not much, yeah.
And what he does say is only, it's only important stuff. But let's go a little bit into the cast and characters of the film. I've just got to bring this screen up. So obviously we have Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo. I mean, we all know that. The amazing Brian Dennehy as Teasel. Yeah. And now whenever I think of Brian Dennehy, unfortunately, the South Park movie always pops into my head. The bit where they're singing.
I've only ever seen it once. But yeah, I mean, Brian Dennehy for me is the first character I think of is Will Teasel. So whenever I know it's obviously in other stuff, but to me that's his character for me when I hear his name.
Yeah, and his character, I'll go for a few more of the characters and we can have a discussion about the characters and sort of what kicked off the film and how things went, how they went in the film. We've got the awesome Richard Crenna as Troutman, Colonel Troutman.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's excellent in this film. And
I like Troutman in this film, yeah.
I've got some quotes for later on. I've got a list of quotes that we can go through a little bit later on. So, and we'll pick which one will be off. I think I've got your favourite quote in there, and I've certainly got my favourite quote in there.
Well, as in favourite quote from Troutman, or just in general?
Just general Rambo quotes. But
okay.
Troutman certainly does deliver, probably, I feel,
the most quotable speech in I would say so.
Yep, 100%. And we had a chap called Bill McKerney as Kern, Jack Starrett as Galt. So Galt, the guy who...
Art Galt, yeah.
Art Galt, yeah, the guy who's the absolute nobbin. I mean, they're all pretty bad, but he's the real sadistic cop who falls out of the helicopter, Never have I cheered so much for someone falling out of a helicopter. Does that make me a bad person?
Not in this case, because Art Galt is an absolute douche. So,
and a very young David Crusoe as Mitch. So
yeah, I do like Mitch. Mitch is the only one I think that gets it. He knows what they're up against immediately, doesn't he? He's like, then we're not, we're not hunting him. He's hunting us. He knows.
So I'm sure all those watching know. So when we think of what happened in the film, Rambo, at the start of the film, I mean, it starts off sad straight away. He's going to go see one of his war buddies from Vietnam. As far as he's aware, the only other surviving guy of his platoon, his team, whatever you would call it, only to find out that he's died from cancer, which is brought on by the orange dusting and stuff they did in Vietnam. So it already starts off sad, very sad. And, he doesn't get a great reception from the guy's mother, which understandable. She's bitter. But, to them wander into town, and this is where it all kicks off. Rambo wandering at Teasel.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on him as a character? Have you got any ideas on what you think his motivations were to suddenly, just out of nowhere, to basically pick on Rambo as he did?
Well, I think, he alludes to it in the movie, but clearly his appearance is straight away what it would appear kicks off the whole thing. But I think the altercation right from the get-go, now obviously Rambo, obviously suffering from PTSD, just like you say, just found out his last sort of buddy from Vietnam has passed away, so he's the last one. Very patriotic with his coat, and you think to yourself, the initial exchange is, look, let me get it right. So, wearing that flag on your jacket, looking the way you do, you're asking for trouble around here, friend. And you think to yourself, that is pretty much, I think, the second line he delivers to Rambo. Mm-hmm. And you think to yourself, all Rambo wants to do at this point is get something to eat, and he feels resented and mistreated, I guess, by his country, and unappreciated by his country of what he's done, and all he wants to do is eat, and he's told you can eat at a diner 30 miles up the highway, and you think, this is a guy who's, say, fought and risked his life for his country, and he's now very patriotic with the flag on his jacket, and he's not even welcome to eat in this. And you just think, I think it's Teasel's ego. He's just, this is my town, and nobody can. And what I love, and this, for me, this happens more than once in the movie throughout certain periods. There are periods in the movie where Will Teasel clearly realizes that he's picked on the wrong guy this time. But I also think equally, it quickly turns into his ego kicks back in, and you see that look on his face of, oh crap, right, I've picked on the wrong guy this time. But then it kicks back in of, no, I'm the boss, I'm this, I'm the sheriff, and we're gonna get this guy. So I think Teasel's ego in the end is what the problem is.
I've always suspected that, because you do see later on in the film with Teasel at his office war medals around him, and he's an ex-soldier himself that's been confirmed from the book and from the director of the film. And whatnot.
Well, I think in the book, he's quite well trained in the book, isn't he, Teasel? And he's a bit of a war hero, supposedly. Right.
It's even, I mean, I believe the director of the film said that, you know, he is an ex-soldier. To me, I've always sort of thought, there's no way he's looking at that coat, looking at him. I've always suspected that he knew he was a soldier of some sort. He doesn't know that he was a Green Beret. And I just think superiority complex. I've always, maybe I'm delving a bit deep into the psyche of Teasel's motivations. I'm sure it will say more in the book, but I'm not going by the book. And the film is obviously a different entity, although based on the book. I just think it's what way can I put this without sounding rude? It's a measuring competition, shall we say? And I just think he wants to abuse that power. Maybe. He's a bully. He's a bully.
Absolutely.
And nothing more.
Absolutely. Well, he says that once they're in the car, and he's pretty much basically, I ask the questions around here, I'm the law around here, you know. Is there anything against me getting something to eat here? And he says, yeah, me. And you just think, yeah, you're just puffing out your chest for the sake of puffing out your chest, you know. But I just think the concept is brilliant, and that moment where he drops him off at the end of the bridge and he says, hope this ride helped you out, you know, Portland straight ahead or whatever. That moment where clearly it all just clicks into place in his mind of, no, you know, sod this, I've done this, and I can't, and he flicks his collar up and just starts walking back, and it's just that moment. I was like, yeah, this is just good. I start grinning at that moment because you just know that it's coming.
Just to fill in something else I said there, the director was Ted Kochev of this film. I probably absolutely butchered the pronunciation of that.
I never know how to pronounce his surname.
I'm terrible. Don't trust me. Do not trust me to pronounce names right. I'm really not a good reader, and I look at that spelling and I'm like, yeah, this is I'm going to get this wrong. But yeah, so Rambo he's taken to the police station after sort of refusing to, you know, he's defiant.
Resisting arrest, yeah.
But at that point, you see that Rambo is a very strong-minded individual, and at this point, he's flipped. He's going to that town one way or another, and right or wrong, whatever Teasel's actions are, and this is the point where it can get a little bit, is he the good guy, is he the bad guy? Ultimately, Teasel's a dick. He shouldn't have abused his power as he did, but he's arrested Rambo. Right, he's arrested him, and you know, Rambo could have walked away, but you see, he's not the guy who's going to walk away. And this is, at this point, Teasel's not real. He thinks he's just got someone stubborn, but he doesn't realise what he's got.
No idea who he is. Yeah.
And then we go to the police station, and this is where this is really they take Rambo in to book him and whatnot, and this is really where it kicks off, because court appearance, seeing Rambo refusing to do the fingerprints, and then treating him worse than an animal, you know. And to me, I've always known the moment where Teasel says to Galton that, clean him up. You know that Teasel, that is not the first time he's done that. In my head, They know he's taken the guy downstairs to spray him with a fire hose, strip him down naked, degrade him in front of everyone, and spray him with a fire hose, and that's going to hurt. So this is not something.
Yeah, it would.
And the way Galt acts, the way he threatens to break his face with the trunch and that, this ain't their first time at the rodeo for abusing people.
No,
although they don't. And to me, it's the subtleties in the lines where you think, and you realise it more the more you watch it, and the older you get. Like, nah, you guys are well rehearsed at this little routine, dragging people in. Yeah. And you think, this is okay. They give Rambo the warning he could have walked on, but these guys, they're not good guys. They're not good police.
No,
this isn't serving. This isn't protecting.
About obviously hosing him down, then proposing to shave him without any shaving foam, and Mitch, you can see Mitch. He walks away when they're putting the fire hose on him. He's sort of trying to say to him when they're about to shave him, look, can you not see that this guy, he's...
But they see his scars and they realise, what's he been... Well, Mitch says words to the effect of, what's this guy into? What's he been into?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they know...
Yeah.
They know from taking his dog tags off, they run it before they find out they rip his dog tags off. They know that they've got an ex-soldier,
Yes,
and...
Sorry, I've just caught BTR Dave's bloody comment. Just made me chuckle, sorry.
It's no problem. I'm going to go back into the comments in a minute. So yeah, it's when we look at the characters, a film at the time. I mean, I'm not sure if there were any other films at the time that really delved into subjects like PTSD, because as we said earlier, this film is a guy who Rambo's got. He's got issues from being at war.
Serious issues.
Serious issues, and these guys pick on him, but that's the difference between this and the later. In this film, they're dealing with this very scarred guy physically, mentally, and you've got people around him
obviously
abusing power.
They allude to that several times when he's in the cop station, don't they? How once he gets the sort of nightstick around his neck from goal, he manages to be put up on the, well, it's like a cross in it, almost like he's been crucified almost, and
it cuts to the scene of
when he sees the bars, and
cuts to the scene of him being cut, and you think to yourself, and that's the turning point. That's when Rambo really goes off, and this is when the story really kicks in. I'm just going to take another look at the comments because I like to try and keep up. I'm not the best at it, but I do my best. What was it VTR says here? My dad had a Betamax player, so we had Rambo in that format. He was convinced Betamax would win. Oh, well. My dad was also convinced Betamax would win.
Really? We did have Betamax, but I don't remember it too much because we soon changed to VHS, so I don't remember Betamax, but we did have one.
We only had one film on Betamax, and it was Mary Poppins, so there you go. Not as cool as what Dave had.
My earliest memories are just our VHS player was replacing our Betamax player,
Let's have a look at what PGM says here. 2 little known facts. They had to replace Kirk Douglas because he was changing the script.
Right.
So they let him go, and sorry, I'm struggling to read that.
And they were filming, so they got Richard Crenna in and killed it with a cold on set. Right. Well, I mean, originally Sylvester Stallone didn't actually want to play Rambo, did he? Originally.
No, and Stallone did come in, and he was one of the reasons, because of his success from Rocky. They actually allowed him to get involved with writing the script to soften the character of Rambo. This film was in development hell for several years. Several companies bought the rights to the book, sold it, bought it, sold it, and when it did eventually get made, the original. I mean. I think I read today the original cut of the film was something like 3 hours long, and Stallone hated it.
Yeah, long. Yeah, and I think Al Pacino was meant to originally play Rambo, wasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, but I think they recast him because they didn't like how Pacino wanted to play it. He wanted to play the character as more of just an ex-veteran that had lost his mind, and was like a bit of a madman, and they didn't want him to be that crazy.
Because it says in my notes here, I know that Mario Casar was involved as a producer of this film, and a company called Anavis Investments, and they, and I can't even pronounce that, ELCAJO Productions, known for 80s blockbusters, and they, I believe Mario Casar was involved with films even like The Terminator and whatnot, so that, well-known people involved in the production. But going back to the development hell of this film, several people came and went, several scripts, and it was Stallone's idea, and they allowed it to, as I say, soften the character of Rambo. So this is a soften, well, not soften him,
it's
but
a watered down, but maybe not just quite portrayed as maybe a bit crazy as maybe they thought he would, but apparently Al Pacino wanted to go too crazy with it.
What's Coxie saying here? VTR. My dad said the same. Now he's 81 and uses a VHS player.
Still uses it.
He doesn't use his DVD player. He prefers his VHS as it's easier to use. They are easier to use, to be fair.
Yeah, but also Rachel still prefers to watch films on VHS if we can, because she likes the grainier picture. She hates watching something in HD. She hates it. She says it's just too good. It's too clear. She likes a VHS quality picture. Yeah.
I'm not stuck on VHS, but I've got a few Blu-rays. But I bought all the James Bond films not that long ago to finally have the full collection. Brought them on DVD. Had the option for Blu-ray. I like that. That DVD quality is fine for me.
Yeah,
it's
for me
absolutely
too.
Fine.
I'm not one of them people. Yeah, it's fine for me too.
But I understand some people love it. But for me, as long as it sounds good, how it looks, as long as I get the feeling for it, I'm into it. You know?
I would still watch VHS tapes. If I had a VHS player, I would still watch videotapes, without a doubt. I just like putting the video in the machine and just the whole. In fact, I'd love a top loader. One of my first video players was a top loader VHS player. I'd love one.
We've had another arrival in. We've had Adam, the real toy disc. Evening, gents. Football finally finished. Hey. Let's see what else we've got going on down here. Who would have thought go eat 30 miles up the road would lead to a town being destroyed?
Yeah. Well, there's a life lesson there for Will Teasel, Dave, isn't there? Yeah.
Just what we got here?
You can let him have a sandwich or have your cop shop burnt down. It's up to you.
So I'm not ignoring your comment, G. It's just it's picking between the comments, which are people talking to each other in the chat, which is great. I love people chatting, and also picking the ones which I can bring in here. So what's VTR say again? Someone kicking off because they don't like the look of someone is an every night occurrence in Reading. Is that what you laughed at earlier?
No, it wasn't actually. It was a comment about Rambo being hungry and he should have had a Snickers or something like that.
What's Gerard put? Big takeaway from the film: leave the quiet and silent type well alone.
Well, yeah, very true. Well, it's often the quiet ones.
When that is a big part of this film, they pick on someone not knowing what they're getting into.
And no idea who he is. Yeah. But I also think he gives a little bit away in the police car when he says, we've got a nice little, quiet town and I get paid to keep it that way. In fact, you might even call it boring. And you can see Rambo just sit there and go, boring. Almost as if he wants to say, I wish I could live a boring life with nothing happening. He wants a boring life, I guess. He just wants to be left alone and wants to be, he probably longs for boring. But just gets hassle, and he's obviously a prisoner in his own mind because he can't forget what he's seen and what he's experienced. Yeah.
And I found your comment from VTR. Yeah. Maybe Rambo just had a severe case of being hangry. Should have had a Snickers.
Yeah, get some nuts.
Kind of reminds me when me and Kat were doing the Godzilla episode. Snickers did an episode of Godzilla showing him being all happy and playful and that, and chilling out with like some high school jock types. And then when he's angry, he's ripping the city apart, and they throw a Snicker in his mouth. And the guy's like, Godzilla's kind of cool when he's not hungry or whatever. It's so good. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember that.
We've also had David World Toys where says, hello, you guys. Hello, Dave. Good to see you. Good to see you, mate. And let's have a look. What's Steve say? I remember my parents getting a VHS, so I got the old Betamax in my bedroom. I only remember watching Star Wars on it. Another good film.
Well, if you're only going to watch one Betamax tape, make it Star Wars.
Absolutely. Right. Let's discuss a little bit more the plot before another bit I want to go into this evening. So yeah, it's all kicked off. Rambo's escaped the police station. He's now in the woods. He's running from the police. And we spoke about it earlier. Teasel goes after him like a madman. Rambo's taken that really cool bike, that dirt bike.
Scrambler or whatever, yeah.
And what a cool chase scene. As films go.
Brilliant.
I love that chase scene.
Absolutely. Great chase scene, yeah.
It is completely up there. It's nuts. It's mad. But you know, if you made Rambo today, that chase scene would have been so much more over the top, wouldn't it? It would be nuts. He'd be
possibly,
jumping over cars.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's realistic, and I like the fact that it goes on for a while. I mean, look, on a bike you could outrun a car within seconds. You know, you could just find somewhere the bike can go that the car can't. But I love the fact that he goes into fields and Teasel just follows him in a car. You know, and it's just like you're not getting away. You know, dragging fences over and yeah.
But this is part of I don't want to say the problem, but here's the thing. Although Rambo is the guy who's going to come out on top when it comes down to fighting, mentally, Teasel and Rambo are both as bloody stubborn as each other.
Oh, 100%. It's why it goes as far as it does, yeah.
And it's a case of no one wanting to back down. Well, neither wants to back down.
That's kind of the premise once Troutman appears, because he says, what do you suggest we do? And he says, defuse him. Leave a hole and let him slip through. And in 2 weeks, you'll pick him up in a car wash and there'll be no fight and nobody will get killed. That's what you should do. But Teaser will not have that. He's like, no, we're going to do it. You know, we might be just some hick town small sheriff's department, but we're expected to do our duty and we're going to do it. And you think to yourself, there's your chance. You can get him easily with no fight, but you won't do it because you want to be the one to feel you've won. I've beat Rambo, you know. Once he starts to, and he still wants to beat him, even though now he knows who he is, he knows what he's capable of, because Troutman's just told him. But I still want to win. And
well, we've already
his ego is what beats him.
Absolutely, we've already spoke about the helicopter death and Galt falling out of the helicopter, which comes not very long after the bike chase, really.
Yeah, not long, no.
And now we've got that's happened. And even after that's happened, Rambo, he gives them a chance. Rambo walks out and he says, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. I don't, you know, words to this effect. I don't want anyone else to die. Yeah. And they had a chance, but no, they got to keep pushing the matter.
Well, they started firing. I mean, he started slowly walking back, doesn't he? You know, he said, don't move, and somebody starts firing. Well, of course... You know, yeah. So, I don't know. I think in that moment, do you think he would give himself up if they don't start firing on him? Do you think in that moment he's going to give himself up, or is it a ploy to try and make them fire so he can pretend to be wounded and then he has the upper hand again because they think now he's injured? I think
in that moment, Rambo's
does
having
he start
a moment
walking backwards to provoke a shot?
I don't think of it. I've never really thought of it that way. Just on the spot, thinking what his motivation could be. I just sort of think maybe he had a moment of clarity where he's like, "Yeah, this is going far. Someone's died now.
Yeah.
There's a loss of life." And the thing is, you can't. Whether you're right, whether it doesn't matter. I don't think there's a real right or wrong to it. Rambo's going to be apprehensive. He's going to back off. I mean, he's just had some nutcase copper leaning out of a helicopter, you know, literally trying to shoot him off a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, it's madness. Everything from the moment they take him into that police station to there is madness. Should Rambo have put his hands up, dropped to his knees, let them arrest him? Yeah, he should have done. But then you're not dealing with. Let's talk. I'm talking about for all the wrong that's done. You know, should Rambo have surrendered and gone? Yeah. You know, done before he got out? Should Rambo have tried to escape? No, but then their actions provoke that. This is where I get myself in a muddle with this film because I'm trying to say. I'm sort of justify Rambo's actions because their actions are so wrong, and this is
because we don't like the police. So you rationalise what he's done or not done. You know, in that moment, does he think, well, hang on, if I give myself up now, I know that they're going to pin Art Galt's death on me. As far as they're concerned, I've killed him. You know, I just think I sometimes watch that scene and I think I cannot decide if he genuinely intends to give himself up in that moment or. If he's going to give himself up, why does he start slowly retreating? And that's why they start shooting, because they're telling him not to move, and he's slowly walking backwards, and he won't stop. So why, if he intends to give himself up, does all of a sudden he starts walking backwards, and they're like telling him not to move, and eventually they open fire on him? I just can't convince myself, you know, if you want to give yourself up, why does he start retreating slowly? You know, which is why they shoot. So does he do it in hope that they'll miss? I can pretend I'm injured, and then they'll think they've got the upper hand, and then it's another step for me that I've got on them. I don't know.
I think it's a valid point. It's not something I'd considered before, but I can see that that's one possibility of why he did it.
Yeah, I just think it's a strange moment.
So we've got to jump through a bit more. I mean, we really are sort of abridging the story here. This happens. Rambo goes now back into the woods. They send the Dobermans in, the dog handlers. The dogs get it. And I want to get to the point, and I want you to deliver the quote, because it's the first thing you said to me when I asked you about this stream when we spoke. Yeah, it's one of the first things you said to me. So Rambo has non-lethally dispatched everybody between sharpened sticks. He got Galt's gun. He's out of ammo. But he's got his sharpened sticks. He's taken the dogs out. He's subdued the police force. The only one at that point who isn't injured is Teasel. And he pops out of the trees with his great big famous knife to his throat. And what does he say, Luke?
He says, I could have killed them all. I could have killed you. In town, you're the law. Out here, it's me. Don't push it. Don't push it, or I'll give you all you won't believe. Let it go. Let it go. It's the best delivered sentence in the movie from Rambo. And it's just that, I mean, even when he takes his knife away, you can see the line. He's clearly been pressing it. Even, and you just, in that moment, Teasel just collapse, and you think, why would you not, in that moment, think, I'm done. I'm going to let him go. I'm going to do it,
He breaks down. He cries after it because he shit himself, as anyone would.
Absolutely.
And even that is not. And that's not enough.
No.
Ego kicks in again.
Yeah. Well, I suppose at this point he's thinking, I've got, my sheriff's department, I've got the National Guard, and he says to Troutman, are you telling me that 200 men against your boys are a no-win situation for us? So he clearly believes he will just, by pure numbers, they'll get him.
Right.
And it's,
okay, so you just as well deliver that quote as well, because that's where I was going to. No. I was going there next. Next. So
I don't know if I'll be able to do it all. I don't know if I'll be able to do it all in one go, because it's a long one.
I've got it if you want me to read it.
But so my favourite, obviously, Troutman quote, which would be a lot of people's Troutman quote, is where he says, you don't want to accept that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare, a guy who's the best with guns, with knives, with his bare hands, a man that's been trained to ignore pain, to ignore weather, to live off the land, that eat things that will make a billy goat puke, win by attrition. Rambo was the best, something along those lines. His job in Vietnam was to dispose of enemy personnel, to kill, period. Win by attrition, that's what he says there, isn't it? And you just think, again, you hear that, why are you not just going, you know what, we'll let him slip away and we'll pick him up in the car wash,
Yeah, I mean, that you remembered that quote far better than I did.
It worked too far off, I don't think. It worked too far off.
The bit I thought you were going to go to there, my apologies, was the bit about no, what are you sorry for? I'm putting you on the spot, man. The bit about sending 200 guys in after Rambo and what Troutman says.
Yeah.
You're going to need a good supply of body bags.
Yeah, make sure you have a good supply of body bags, yeah.
And that...
Yeah, well, I mean, a quick line, which I think is very quotable, is where he says, I didn't come to save him from you, I came to steal from him. He's just like, well, yeah.
Because, as you say, they've brung the National Guard in now. Troutman's got wind of it. He's there. He wants to... Exactly that. And because Troutman is obviously aware that one of his, I don't want to call Rambo a machine, but one of his guys, one of his creations, for want of a better word, his super efficient killing machine, who can survive pretty much any conditions, is on the loose. Yeah.
Well, Teasel says to Troutman, doesn't he? That's great, Troutman. You came out here to see why one of your machines blew a gasket, because where else? You're lucky to still be breathing. Yeah.
And I think that's where Troutman some of the interactions in this film between Troutman and Teasel, I think, are fantastic interactions. Because, did you ever get a sense at any point that Troutman was slightly goading Teasel a little bit?
Oh, 100%. 100%. You know, I mean, how many times does he say things like, if you send 200 men after Rambo, don't forget one thing, a good supply of body bags. I didn't come to save him from you, I came to save, you from him. How many times does he say things like, setting him up for you? It's like bringing the pigeons to the cat. You know, he said so many times he's saying, you can't beat him, you know, no matter what you do. And I think it provokes Teasel into, we're going to get him, no matter what.
So this is my question to you then, Luke. Knowing that, Troutman's not done. He knows what Teasel's about. And I asked myself when I was watching this last night, because I'm really thinking about it while I'm watching it last night. Troutman, why are you're pushing on Teasel? You know, you've told him, but you seem to... Do you get a little hit? Like you say, he's poking the bear a little bit. It's like, is he enjoying this to some degree?
I think there's probably...
Am I looking too deep into it?
I don't know. I mean, well, why doesn't Troutman disappear once they blow up the cave? Because he says in the movie, because he's suspected. I'm not convinced he's dead, you know. I'll just hang around. I think he potentially, there's part of him that wants to go, you know what? I wonder if he can still do it. I'm interested to see if Rambo is still Rambo. If he's still the guy I trained and I remember, because he's not been obviously at war for a while, you know.
And it makes me wonder his motivations. Did he have a plan for Rambo? Because we've got First Blood Part 2. Oh, all right, that's not quite the thing, but he's got this incredible weapon, and he's out there sort of sharpening himself up again. And you think, is Troutman thinking, well, this is bad, but if I can get hold of him, you know, we can take it. You think, have you got something else up your sleeve? Have you got an ulterior motive, Troutman?
Maybe, maybe. I mean, that's personally that's what. If he was to give himself up, would Troutman have appeared? Rambo gives himself up and then disappear. Obviously, that won't be much of a movie, but I think part of it is Troutman is interested to see if Rambo can still cut it, if he's still got that killer instinct or whatever you want to call it, you know. That's why he sticks around when the mine gets blown up, because he suspects. I think he could probably get out of that, you know. I want to see if he does. Yeah, you know, the kid is resilient, as he says.
But you could see jumping back a little bit, you could see earlier in the film when they say over the radio to Teasel, well, you've really picked one this time, boss, or whatever it is he says. So you know that they do this.
Yeah.
And Mitch is like a green beret, and he's enamored by it.
Yeah, Congressional Medal of Honor. Guy's a war hero. Yeah. And
it pushes Teasel that far that he literally grabs Mitch by the head and forces his face into Galt's dead body.
But that's another moment when he comes on the teletyper and says, "You sure picked a hell of a guy to mess around with. John Rambo is a Vietnam vet, Green Beret, guy's a war hero, won the Congressional Medal of Honor." And they're all like, "Geez, that guy?" And then one of the guys goes, "Oh, it's Green Berets. They're real badasses." And you hear the guy on the radio say, "What do you want me to do, Will?" And you see Will again. In that moment, you can see his face as if to go, "Oh, crap." And then he goes, "Oh, yeah, do exactly what I said to do. Get the chopper out here." But you can see again that moment. You can see he knows what he's done, but he will not let it go. And he snaps back into big bad sheriff guy, you know?
Well, even if we jump back to roughly where we were talking about in the film, so you've had the National Guard in, and there's the whole scene where they fire the rocket launcher at the at the well.
The National Guard guys are funny as hell, to be fair.
They are funny. Even in a film that's got dark moments like that, there are a couple of bits in it that certainly make me laugh. But then I sort of think to myself that, well, then Teasel's an ex-soldier. Is part of this not only his ego, is it inflamed by, I'm not going to let a Green Beret beat me?
Yeah. You know, I think they do have, obviously in the forces, they do have these status and ranks, and they're not better than us, and we're tougher than them, and so I mean, it's all plausible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you just never know. And then, you know, we get to the point where Rambo manages to get one of the army trucks, get an M60 machine gun, get to town. And then there is the final showdown.
Yeah.
And what a final showdown. The intelligence of Rambo shooting out the electrics.
Yeah.
Going into the gun store, pouring out all those explosives and that, before that, blowing up the petrol station.
Yeah. It's all sort of distractions and
and
like
there's
a sort of thing. When you're looking one way, he's going another. Yeah.
It's when you see Teasel on the roof and you can see he is now terrified, and you can see he's like, even still, ego. The ego will overcome him.
Troutman's gone in and warned him again when he's opening up the cabinet to get his gun, and he's like, "You're gonna die, Teasel. Why don't you just clear out while you can?" He's like, "Get out of here, Troutman, and take your advice with you." And what are you doing? Yeah.
But it's that moment, the moment in the film where you see just how good you see how good he is all throughout the film, but one of the moments I really like is when Teasel's up on the roof and he looks and Rambo's looking at him. Teasel's got no idea that Rambo's got eyes on him.
Yeah.
He's got eyes on him. And at this point, and even to when he goes in and he starts shooting up, and I believe Teasel shoots through the glass, the window and that, and Teasel's inexperienced. He's on a flat roof. So what does Rambo do?
Yeah,
shoots round it.
Yeah. It's
the roof ain't bulletproof.
You go through it, and I mean, obviously, I'm jumping back, to the woodland scene, but I mean, the way he takes out all the coppers, and I mean, as a kid, I remember, obviously, I look at him now, and you think, obviously, you know where he is now, so you can see him. But the bit where Mitch comes through the forest, comes under the tree, and he's leant down with the leaves on his back, and all of a sudden he appears, and his arm pops up, and it's like, geez, he's there. You're watching, it's like, oh my God, he's there. You have no idea that he's there the first time you watch it, but even then, when you watch it now, you can see him there. But when you actually think, but if I was watching this for the first time again, would I notice that? There's no way you would. And that's why it's so good. He's in the shot. He's right there. You can see the top of his head, and it's like, but you've no clue he's there. I just love it. I love the way he takes them all out in the forest, and disables them all one way or another, and just leaves Teasel. But I mean, my favourite one is where I can't remember who they're charging towards. Because somebody's just been done by Rambo, and they're all screaming and yelling, and they're charging towards him. And I think it's just Teasel and Singleton left. And he gets to, I don't know if it's Mitch or Ward, and he's like, "Singleton, where the hell are you?" And then he goes back, and lightning strikes just as he and you see him like pinned up to this tree and string around his neck, and and I just think it looks great, And imagine just, obviously all your guys have been taken out, but imagine running back and seeing that, And I was just like, this is great.
Even to the point, going back earlier in the film, he sets up that sort of scarecrow before the dogs run into the traps.
Yeah.
He knows how to win with fear. So jumping back to where we were, Teasel's shot up. He's on the floor. Rambo's preparing to kill him. Troutman comes in. And then I wouldn't admit this in front of my missus last night, the final speech with Rambo. And
tough to watch.
I teared up a bit last night, and that was
to watch.
That was hard. I swear, as I get older, I get softer.
Well, I think the reason why that end sort of speech and story from Rambo is so good, because I think he delivers it in a massively different way to how he sort of acts and speaks throughout the movie. His voice changes, his actions, he's just slumped, and you can see he's just completely lost in his own mind. Can't get away from it, relives it every day. But I think he delivers it in a way that you just do not. And I don't mean because he's upset and crying, but his voice breaks and he sounds like just a complete and utter broken man. And then when he reaches out to Troutman and just hugs him, he's done. You can see he's haunted by it, and Troutman can see it in that moment. He's a mess. And I just think it's a great ending. Certainly the one I would pick over. I mean, that's obviously why they did the one I would pick over the alternate one.
Yeah, and as I say, that scene, I am getting softer as I get older. I swear, the second we had a kid, I just became soft. But that scene, the story about the shoe polish box is friend blunt. Even the way, even the way he manages to insert the little bit of dark humour about driving the car, and he's like, "But we can't find your legs," and that's I've known I've got several friends who've been in the forces. They've got the same sort of dark or black humor, whatever you want to call it. But it's dropping a little bit in it like that and seeing him, and it's how he just goes off on that big ran, and it's almost like it's like a pressure valve is suddenly just and that is
I just think it's brilliantly delivered. Yeah.
You know, that is so hard to watch. And then, you know, the film ends. Rambo's walked out of there. You see him with the coat over him, and it's the look as he walks out. Sort of. Did you notice? Sort of, he looks at Teasel, and Teasel almost looks at him.
Past him. Yeah.
And it's like there's still no sort of. There's no remorse in either of them for their actions.
Absolutely not. No. Well, I don't think really, because neither one of them really. I think they both know in that moment neither one have won either. Teasel didn't win, but neither was Rambo really. You know, it's just a fight in the end for the sake of a fight. Neither one of them is a winner in that moment. And yeah, I just think it's well done. And even to the point with the end credits, the tune over the song over the end credits, I think is a great song to finish it with.
And yeah, and then the film ends, and I've even watching it again. It'd probably been a few years since I'd watched it.
Me too, probably.
I think that's one thing I like about films. Just because I love a film, I don't always watch them, and I think it's great when you've gone 2, 3, 4 years gap, and then because you remember bits. I mean, I was still spitting out little quotes last night.
It's a very quotable movie.
They drew first blood, not me. God didn't make Rambo.
Cool.
I made him.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. It's a very quotable movie, yeah.
And this is where I'm going to just look over the comments quickly. Guys, there's been so much for me and Luke to chat about tonight. Really not been ignoring you. It's just so hard to. I love how active the chats are on these. I love it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's great. Yeah, it's great to see everybody in there.
I do read them as they go by, and it's good to see that people, you know, are invested in this film. You know, they've.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know people that don't like it, and I know we're not all the same. And obviously, you know, one person likes one thing, one person. I just don't know anyone can not like First Blood. It's just one of them movies. How can anyone not like it?
It's to me it's the best film.
Correct.
So yeah, just reading out G-Force's comment there. You can tell that they're well versed in abuse because no one really questions it besides Mitch.
Yeah. Ward's the same. Yeah.
PGM here. Go. What's the matter? You don't like water sports?
Yeah. That's when Mitch disappears, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to get him behind the ears. Yeah.
Gerard, corruption within authority. Wait, surely not. And G-Force, Vietnam vets dealt with a very different homecoming from every other war that the US has ever been part of. Yep, and very well documented. And Rambo goes into that in that final speech. You know, getting shouted at, being called a baby killer, being spat on at the airport.
Yeah, absolutely. How do they know unless they've been there and been me and know what they're yelling about? Yeah.
You know, what's PGM here say? Sorry, I missed. Craner came.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job, Richard Craner. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I don't think there's a bad actor in this film. Everyone delivered. And this film, you know, some people have joked about Stallone over the years. Stallone's a brilliant actor. You give Stallone the right piece. He's excellent.
My opinion on people like Stallone and people like Arnold Schwarzenegger is, and this is because I'm a big fan of both. But you don't go to, certainly not then, you don't go to Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger to win you an Oscar, to be a brilliant acting performance. You go to them because of what they can bring you. They're just a brilliant action hero. You know, you're not expected to get stellar, like, Oscar-winning performances. Their acting ability, you go because they're a brilliant action hero.
I still think that moment. There's a couple of moments, though, with Stallone where...
I'm not saying he can't act, by the way.
Oh no, absolutely. I get what you're saying, but across the first 2 Rocky movies, because of course the Rocky movies went off and went very different in part 3 onwards, and you know, then this First Blood, that, like I said earlier, he doesn't say much. But when he does, and how Stallone delivered it as well. But VTR's comment here, he would never give himself up. He's been trained for war and winning. And even at that point at the end, when Troutman's there, Troutman is literally going, every exit is blocked. Over. You're outgunned. You're done. And he has to shout the words, the mission is over.
Yeah. Nothing is over. You don't just turn it off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so true.
Gerard here, treating his own wounds has been repeated in so many shows and movies. Testament to how iconic the character is.
I can't believe we actually haven't mentioned that scene yet. Famous scene. Yeah, absolutely love that. That branches into something I can show, though. I mean, I have obviously...
Before you show that, I want to say one thing, though. One thing. You know Stallone did his own stunts for this film, and when he dives off the cliff, that is Stallone through those trees.
He breaks a rib, doesn't he?
He did. He did. Yeah, you've done your reading as well, sir. I can tell. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Yeah, but when when I was a kid, when I watched him stitching his arm up, I was like, the blood's oozing. Look at the blood oozing out of it. That's real. You know what I was like?
Keith's got a very good comment there. Teasel was ex-army who saw no real action. Now a sheriff in a small town. He had no sense of loyalty to a fellow vet and treated Rambo as beneath him. His ego and bigotry was his downfall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nailed it with that.
Couldn't have put it better myself, Keith.
Nailed it with that. What's G say? Chuck Norris missing action versus Rambo. Who wins that fight? Rambo.
I'm not even entertaining that. That, G-Force. Come on. I like Chuck Norris, but come on, mate.
I just want to check. Look, get your bits and pieces ready. And I'm just checking. Oh, Gerard's got a question. Question for Luke and Nick and all of the chat. Considering the recent stream about our love of Arnie, do we think Rambo and Terminator would have been an awesome slide? Arnie had been cast as the other. I see what you're saying. If they reverse roles.
The other one. Oh, right, I see. I mean, I always find them questions strange because if we'd have never known Arnie as Terminator and Sly as Rambo, and we'd never know any different, would we? So I always find it hard once they've been played and to say, switch them and say I think they'd be as good or better or whatever. I could not see anyone else playing Rambo, and I could not see anyone else playing a Terminator.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go with you there.
I don't think they would be as good.
I'm going to go with you. I think they had the right roles for them.
Yeah.
We've had someone pop along it. Usual Mike Television. Hello, Mike. Good to see you in the chat, mate. Good to see you.
Very early for Mike, but yeah, thanks for coming in.
It's very early. He must be watching this with his cornflakes, mate.
It must be what, 8:15 where he is? Something like that.
Very kind of you to say, Gerard. Saying no one feels ignored, Nick. You two are doing a stellar job with a great back and forth. That's appreciated, man. That means a lot. Right, well, where are we? I think we are... I'll read this one. One more. I think Stallone is the better actor as he also gets involved with the writing. Valid point from our VTR.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
And he also says, don't think Stallone and Arnie are interchangeable.
No, probably not.
Gerard with agreed VTR, but an interesting thought. I felt definitely an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Right, Luke,
yes.
I'm going to go into in a minute about some differences between the film and the book, and then we'll start to wrap up. But I know you've got some bits you'll just die into show. So
I have got
get
some
in
bits,
there, my mate. Get in there. I mean, it's your time to shine, lad.
I'll start off with, obviously I don't have a huge amount of Rambo bits, but I do have a few. So I just thought I'll show them if I can get rid of the glare. So we've got some action figures. Now these are the NECA ones, and I was lucky to get these when they just come out. Rich, she bought me these for Christmas, I think. And when they came out, they were like £17 to £20. So we managed to get in on these really quickly. But these are sort of quite expensive now. But this one's Rambo Part 2. So this one, I know you're not keen on Part 2, Nick, but this is from Part 2, this guy. But
whoa. I knew you were gonna bring that up, mate. We'll have that out in a minute. We'll have that out in a minute.
All right. Okay. But I did also get this one, which is probably my favourite one, because he's got the poncho on from First Blood.
Why are you showing me stuff that I need to immediately go and find on the second-hand market for a ridiculous price?
These are probably about 60, 70 quid plus now. But I do like that one. And did you know the poncho that he finds in that movie, apparently that was not a prop. That was just something that he found and did. Apparently that wasn't a prop. I don't know how true that is.
I had read that, but I didn't have that one down as one of my facts, so nicely delivered, Mr. R.
Yeah. Now this, I'm just going to show you, because these are obviously from the Force of Freedom cartoon. These are the toy line based on that cartoon, so I just thought I would show these. So we've got Mr. Rambo there with his M60 and rocket launcher. And
can I just say to that figure there, unless I imagined this, I'm sure VTR showed a knockoff Rambo figure the other week or the other month on his channel, which looks kind of similar to that. And
I think
if it
there
was
is a knockoff
VTR,
that looks a bit like this.
I had that figure and I watched that and went, I had that as a kid.
I don't know if VTR has got that. I know the bootleg figure that you mean, but I know Retro Ed has got one and shows it quite a lot.
I had one of those as a kid.
Yeah, but then we've got the actual Force of Freedom Rambo, which is this guy.
Very
He's
cool.
got the Force of Freedom badge on his jersey. And then, of course, we have to have... I've got a few more, but I just picked up these three to show because the other guys you don't know from the movies, whereas these guys you do know, they're in the movie, the characters. We've got Troutman. So this was gifted to me by none other than the good old VTR Dave at the last Echo I went to.
Did I
is
witness that? I think I may have witnessed the gifting.
But how wicked is this guy? Complete as well. He's so cool.
VTR is a very generous guy. He was so generous with something he did for my little boy as well. Such a gent.
Just top guy, and he never gifts anything that's not complete either. Everything is always complete. He's just the best. Really is a great guy. But one of my favourite things. So I don't know. Hopefully we're not going to get. I won't get the stream taken down for these.
Nah, you're right, mate. Go for it.
And I know I've showed them on Tub Thumpers, so I thought. But I also have Rambo's survival knives or Bowie knives. Are these Bowie knives? Survival knives? We called them survival knives when we were kids. So this one is from First Blood, obviously the first movie. So if I just... So then we just... It actually has Rambo embossed, if you can see it, First Blood on there.
Oh yeah, you can see that. That is awesome.
And the best thing about this is, like in the movie, if you take the end off, it's got the compass there.
Very cool.
You can see it. And if you then pop out, I won't open it, but then it's got the little canister with his matches and his needle and thread to stitch himself up. And you can pretty much do what he does in the movie. Now, I'm not going to stitch myself up, but yeah, so that's the first one. And then, because I also like the second one, which I know we'll discuss maybe in a little while, Nick. I've also got the knife from the second one, which is a tiny bit bigger, and it's a black handle instead of a green handle, and it's got a black inner in the blade, as you can see. But again, that's got the logo on the bottom of the blade, and it says Rambo First Blood Part 2. And again, the same, slightly different end, but again that pops off with the same thing. Slightly bigger. Comes off. Slightly bigger compass.
Mm-hmm.
And again with the canister with all the stuff in. But I love these. I love these.
Very
and
cool.
I cannot believe that you can buy these over the counter from a shop not too far from me. You can just go in and buy them. Now, since I bought these, I don't know if there's a licensing issue, but since I bought these, they do the same knives, but they don't have the Rambo logo on them anymore. So I don't know if they're not allowed to. Yeah,
I suspect that is licensing.
But they still do the same knives. They're named something else now, and they don't have the logo on them. So I'm glad I got them when I did.
In case anyone watches this or doesn't know, the Force of Freedom cartoon, I think I touched on it briefly earlier. It was inspired by, well, it was a cash-in after Rambo First Blood Part 2. And they introduced more characters in it, but it's more in like, it's nothing really like the Rambo films, but it would be more like Rambo from First Blood Part 2. It's nothing really in connection to First Blood. But yeah, it's I wasn't the biggest fan as a kid, but I think I was just a bit too young for it, if I'm honest.
I don't remember I remember watching the cartoon, but I don't remember too much about it, and I don't remember watching it a huge amount. But I do remember it being there, and I do remember watching it, but I don't have as specific memories I do as other cartoons. Others, like, I mean, yeah, it isn't a stupid question, really, Dave, because the fact you can buy them over the counter, they're not allowed to be. I mean, they are sharp. Look, of course they are. You know, if you really wanted to do some damage with them, you could, but you can, as long as you. It sounds silly. As long as you don't put too much pressure, you can run your finger down the blade and it won't cut you. So
I'm an ex-butcher, Luke. I could get an edge on that knife for you, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you don't want it though.
Sure.
You don't want it.
No. So yes, of course they are sharp, Dave, but not. You know, I don't know how it works. Apparently, if they're not to a certain sharpness, they're allowed to be sold over the counter, I believe, and made out with certain metal. They can sell them over the counter.
Kind of makes sense because I had a replica of Blade sword. And
I've got one of those as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was pointy enough that you could hurt someone with it.
Yeah.
But you'd have had to have done quite. Obviously, if you hit someone with force, it would do damage. But you could run your hand over it, and it wouldn't. Yeah. It wouldn't have cut you.
And it's soft metal as well. It's proper metal, but it is soft.
Yeah, it would. In fact, I think if you put it on a grinder or started trying to steel it up, you'd eat through the metal very quickly on it.
Yeah, I think you would. Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's a. Oh yeah, usual Mike, Crocodile Dundee. That's a knife.
That's a knife. Yeah. Yeah.
And what else does Mike say there? Those Force of Freedom line are awesome. I do not remember those when we were younger. Perhaps not sold here in the land of Oz. Perhaps not, because some things.
Possibly. Yeah.
Some things don't make it across.
Yeah, there are some things that they don't get in Oz, don't there? Yeah.
But so I'm just going to jump back in just very quickly because I said I'd do it, so I'd like to do it. We don't need to go over any more quotes because we've sort of covered that as we've gone through, which is ace.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Now I am going to be reading a couple of notes about it because as I said, I have not read the book. I am going to try and get an. I'm going to try and get an. I love an audiobook. I love an audiobook, so I'm going to try and get it on audiobook. From what I understand, in the book, certainly in parts of it, it's told chapter to chapter. It's one chapter's the point of view of Rambo, one's the point of view of Teasel, which is cool way of looking at it. Rambo is certainly considered. Well, he's not considered. He is far more unhinged in the book. He kills a lot of the police officers. He kills civilians in the book. He's it's dark. What else have I got here? And in the ending of the book, the big one I wanted to go over. Actually, before I go to that, I'll come to this. Teasel's role in the book. Teasel's roles. They look into Teasel a bit more, but it's a book. It's always going to be fleshed out. They cover a bit more of his background, and they're both war-weary men. They've both experienced war, from what I understand, from what I found on the old interwebs. But in the ending of the book, something which was filmed for the film, and on my DVD box set, it is a deleted scene. It is there if you want to watch it. Rambo dies.
Yeah, I would hate that ending.
Now, in the book, apparently, Teasel and Rambo both shoot each other fatally, and they're slowly dying. But Troutman executes Rambo, shoots him in the back of the head to give him. Yeah, that's what I read. So but that's what I read, and I also did watch the other day a thing on YouTube, someone talking about the book. So I'm recalling bits and pieces from memory. So it's hard to talk on something I haven't read, but I do feel it's important to sort of touch on the book. It was based on David Morrell's 1972 novel, First Blood. That's very important to say. And back to what you were saying, you'd have hated that ending. Test audience hated that ending. They absolutely, they didn't make Rambo live in it because they saw potential for future films. They did it because they thought that the test audience did hate it, and they thought it would just be a really, really bad ending, and they thought it could damage the film. So they filmed it with him surviving.
I wouldn't have liked it. Yeah, I wouldn't have liked it. I understand it. I understand why they would maybe think of that as an ending, but I wouldn't have liked it. The thing is with movies, and Rambo is no different. There are certain movies where I want the cliche ending, and there are certain movies where I'd be happy to have an ending that's maybe unexpected. But for me, Rambo has to be that cliche ending for me. Yeah.
And Keith says, Mr. Knight, I think it transpires that Troutman had been sent there with the intention of killing Rambo all along. Ah, okay.
Right. Okay.
So that would explain from someone I think in the video I watched, the person was saying that one of the reasons Troutman executed him how he did was to give him a more honourable death than bleeding out on the ground. But
right.
I can't really comment any more on it because, as I say, I haven't read it, but I did want to briefly touch on it. And yes, I do believe, unless there's anything else you want to discuss, mate, everything I've got down in notes, all the little points I've got. I had questions for you, but I've asked you a few. We've covered them in conversation. As I said, okay. I messaged Luke today and I said, I've got a ton of notes. I've got a whole layout for the show. And I believe I said to you in the voice note, I will remove the F word. I've got all these notes. I've got this all planned and I will use approximately effing 5% of it because that's how it goes on every show I do.
Yeah. Well, with it do, and I'm always at times hesitant to elaborate on certain things when I'm talking because I think, what if I cover something
doesn't
that
matter.
he's waiting to ask me?
Oh,
or whatever.
mate, it doesn't.
So
It doesn't matter.
I generally do that.
Does not matter if you bring things up that I've got in the notes. The thing is, you can plan a show like this all you want, and you can have a structure, but you're inviting someone in to talk on something they like. You have to be adaptive. Because you can't, unless I'd sent the notes over to you and said, here's the show notes we're going to do, and then it sort of becomes scripted, and it's not a natural conversation. And the point of this series is to get people on to chat about a film they like, and I'm going to throw a few facts in there as we go just to bolster the conversation and offer my input on the film. You know, that.
Nice.
I want it to be
natural.
natural.
I've enjoyed it. And you know what? And I said this to VTR Dave the other night. It's really nice sometimes to do a stream and not talk about toys. Now, I know I've shown a few, but it's nice to do a stream that isn't completely focused on toys. And I mean, look, I never thought I'd say that. Obviously, I love toy collecting. It's what we do. It's why we all know each other. But it's so nice to talk about something that isn't toy-based sometimes, you know? So I really enjoyed this, mate. And I'd love to do another one at some point, yeah.
Oh, mate, yeah. No, well... when you agreed to do one of these shows, what you've basically done is sign.
Right. Have I agreed to do a trilogy?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Okay. We're gonna have to do at least part 2, Rambo 3, and Rambo. Yeah. I'm not interested in doing the last Rambo film unless people call out for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I am.
I want to remember Rambo as he was, not what they made him out to be in. In that film, so
But
anyway,
I'd be up for that, mate. I'd be up for that.
There is one thing we need to touch. We can touch on this. We've still got a bit of time left, and this might be interesting to people.
It's not a school night for me.
No. It's certainly not. So today, me and Luke, we don't really type messages. If you speak to me a lot, I tend to use voice notes. I like voice notes because I can listen to them if I'm working. It's easier, and some of mine and Luke's conversations, they would be massive paragraphs. So send a voice note.
I enjoy a voice note.
Like a voice note, very easy to do. But you seemed rather shocked today when you said to me that you love Rambo First Blood Part 2. You didn't like Rambo 3.
I didn't say I love it. I didn't say I love it, but I do like it. I do like Part 2. Yeah.
Okay. And you basically said that it's better than Rambo 3. And I said,
in my opinion,
mate,
it's better than Rambo 3.
You're off. And I said, and I don't disagree because opinions is important. We all have our own opinions and no one's right or wrong. But
I'm not going to say you're wrong.
I said, nah, mate, you're off your head. Rambo 3 is a much better film than First Blood Part 2. Which is how I said it.
We can cover this. But for me, it is. I think Rambo 3 is terrible. I really like 2. I mean, it's not that neither one of them come close to Part 1. Part 1 is just. I think Part 2 is far better than Part 3.
So I don't think that Rambo 2. I don't think it's a bad film. So look, this is thing. I don't know if this is a thing that Stallone films do. So you had Rocky and Rocky 2, and they bookend each other. It's almost one big long film, and it's a lot more serious. It's a lot more gritty. Then we get Rocky 3. He's fighting Clubber Lang. He's wrestling Hulk Hogan at the start of the film, and it's a 90-minute film. It goes, and to me, this is what Rambo did. It went, all right, granted, First Blood is around 90 minutes, but the feel of the film went from this gritty to like Hollywood war film, yay. And then later on, finish my point, because I know you're going to crucify me on this.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm joking. But Stallone both these films iconic. He then comes back years later with both these series, does Rambo or Rambo 4, does Rocky Balboa, which takes it back to the more serious tone.
Right. Yeah,
And there just
finish
seems
it with Rocky 5.
No, you can't finish it with Rocky 5.
Oh,
but no, sorry to go. No. Let me finish there. But do you see the connection with Stallone series there? Starts serious, goes Hollywood, and then goes back to serious in the later years.
Yes, but my argument there would be if we're putting Rambo, the way Rambo works with the way Rocky works. For me, look, the first Rocky and the second Rocky are brilliant, but for me, the Rocky franchise, the movies almost get better each time until you get to number 4.
Whoa, bold statement.
Number five's a dud, and then they
5
come
is
back.
dud.
And
the street fight at the end's pretty cool.
So I think you've got 4 movies that are all brilliant before you get to 5. Whereas we're saying, once you get First Blood out the way, then we go straight away, we're going to Rocky 5 in essence with First Blood Part 2. I just don't think we are, but again, I'll have to watch them both again and refresh my memory. But yeah, can I just address a comment as well, by the way?
Of course you can. Tell me the comment and I'll bring it up.
It's Gerard O'Connor. I'll say it now. We've just obviously spoke that we'll do Rambo. I would be down for Universal Soldier because Van Damme is another. I'm a massive early Van Damme. Universal Soldier is brilliant, and I'll tell you why. Because I like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think he's great in his early movies, but a film is only as good as its bad guy, and Dolph Lundgren is an exceptional bad guy in that movie. I would do Universal Soldier all day long, Gerard. Yeah.
So you want to take Universal Soldier?
I'll do that one as well. I mean, I'm getting a bit greedy, but I'd do that one all day.
Mate, there is no rush to come back to doing Rocky. I said to you before with this series, it could be a year down the line that we touch on a sequel, but I would be more than happy to do Universal Soldier yourself. I've got some in the can lined up with people, but you are now penciled down for Universal Soldier.
Any film that has a bad guy with a necklace of ears gets my vote all day long.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, me and Monkey Boy briefly touched on it on Live and Moderately Entertaining, because I actually said to Gerard's earlier question about switching roles, I said in Live and Moderately Entertaining, I said, does anyone ever watch this and feel as though, we couldn't get Arnie, so we'll get Dolph Lundgren in? Because I've always had that sort of feeling with that. But anyway, we don't need to massively.
The thing is, I think Dolph Lundgren plays a brilliant bad guy in obviously in Universal Soldier and in Rocky 4. I think the guy is ice, and I think Universal Soldier. I mean, like I said, I'm an early Van Damme fan anyway. I think his early movies some of them are so bad they're good. I just like them, and Universal Soldier is a massive favourite of mine.
I will go through the comments weekly. I just want to finish on just say something on what you said. You said to me then, you're saying we go from First Blood to like Rocky 5. No, that I have to say that's not what I'm saying. But
right,
the tonal shift between Rocky 3 and Rocky 2, it's a very different style of movie. And when I go Hollywood, I mean it. Yes, First Blood is 90 minutes, and most of the Rambo films are around 90 minutes, but the scene that always gets me in Rambo 2 is the scene where 1 minute he's covered in mud and he slips out and he gets that guy with a knife, and the next minute he's perfectly clean. Yeah. And you're like, and my mate always defended that with, he jumps in the water. It's like,
he jumps in the water, yeah.
Yeah, but
that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, but there'd still be like stains on his top. He's like,
I'll tell you what's funny about that scene, because there's a scene just before he appears out the mud where there's a pan scene away where you can see it, and he's clearly not in the wall in that moment,
and
because it's just so flat,
and he's just there.
Then it zooms in, and then you see his eyes up, and you're like, he's in the wall. But when you look at it in the scene before, he's clearly not in it. But just then pan in quick, and you see his eyes up. He's in the wall. But I just like it.
I will say though, the chances of me, I'm not against covering a Rocky film one day. I am going to say, I know this is a Rambo stream. I love the Rocky films, and I think the Creed series has been really good. The problem for me is when I watch Rocky, I have to turn my brain off. Not so much the first two.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, the amount of times his gloves touch the canvas in Rocky 4, it's like that's counted as a knockdown, mate. You're going to get a standing 8, and I don't care about the hostile Russian audience.
Look,
and
if we're
it's a film, so I have to turn the brain off. I have to turn the brain off for that one.
If we're going to start debating unrealistic boxing matches, all our lives don't make any sense anymore. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's one of the things I appreciated with the Creed series, although there's the crazy cutscenes in it. Bringing in, I know Tommy Morrison, who played Tommy Gunn in Rocky V, was a real boxer. He's no longer with us. But I did appreciate when they had Tony Bellew in the first film, and they did keep to a famous boxer, Luke, don't worry, very famous boxer.
I know he is, but his accent would make me not have him in a movie immediately.
Sorry to assume you didn't know who he was, but like you always said, I don't follow boxing. So
well, I don't really, but I know a few people are, but I could not take that movie seriously with Tony Bellew in it.
He's a very outspoken football fan, isn't he? So he's an Evertonian, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
but you not see? And this is maybe where we're a little bit. Because the second I saw him in that movie, I was just like, no, off. And
really,
it loses its credibility immediately.
Oh, see, I like. Tony Bellew is a boxer that grew on me over time. I never liked him when he was first breaking through, and he's grown on me, but he's become a walking cliche. He's a bit like Cole Frotch. He's his own walking cliche. But anyway, let's come off of the boxing. Let's get into the comments before we wrap this up.
And I just need to say, can Gerard Connor please stop mentioning movies? Because he keeps mentioning movies that I keep looking at in the comments and going, I want to do that one as well. And he's just done it again.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gerard, when the stream's done, if you go into the comments section and put a list of all the movies that you've mentioned in the live chat, then I can if you're happy to do that, or WhatsApp them to me, or have you got me on WhatsApp or Instagram? You've got me somehow or another.
He's mentioning movies that I'm just like that. Yeah, I'd like to do that one. I'd like to do that one.
Let's have a look. So obviously we had the Do Universal Soldier, please.
Well, G-Force has mentioned one of them, but Gerard O'Connor's just mentioned another one that I absolutely love. Stallone movie.
Cobra.
I like Cobra,
no?
But I'd love to do Tango and Cash.
Great
what
film.
A movie that is. It's a great movie. Yeah. You have to laugh at that Thunderlip scene in Rocky. Now, apparently that was fairly real, wasn't it? Didn't Hulk Hogan sort of go a bit mad in that scene? Like, seriously?
Apparently he did hurt a bit with the slam downs and stuff, but let's
you don't realise just how big Hulk Hogan is, do you, until you watch
He's
that?
huge. He is huge.
Massive,
Hulk Hogan is not a small, I mean, he's a professional wrestler. They're generally I mean, you get small wrestlers, but they're generally not small guys, and he is huge, and he's still huge today, and still looks like he would still rip us apart, even though I believe he's in his 70s now.
Well, it's not an easy figure to get. VTR Dave, you must have a Thunderlips figure. I know they're not easy to get, but you must have one, have you? I bet you've got a Thunderlips figure.
VTR.
I bet he has. They're not easy to get. I'm sure there's a big one though, a big Thunderlips figure.
G says Hulkamania. Gerard O'Connor says Creed movies are boss. I do like them. Tree Theodore says thank you for your service, veterans. Yep, definitely. How does Cliffhanger rate as a Stallone movie? Oh, we haven't got time to go into that. There's a film that could be in this series.
I'll give you just my very quick opinion. I really like Cliffhanger.
I love Cliffhanger.
I really like Cliffhanger, and it's not a movie you would expect to like.
John Lithgow
Stallone.
is phenomenal in that movie.
He's a brilliant bad guy in it.
He's
brilliant
the best bad guy in that movie.
But I'm also a fan of Michael. Is it Michael Rooker? I'm also a fan of Mike. I like him as well. But I think that's a great Stallone movie. One that I wouldn't expect, but yeah, I think it's a great one.
Usual Mike says I saw Universal Soldier when it was a new release on VHS. I've got it on a really cheap DVD release, and I think the sound wasn't the best. I think they've released a better version of it now, but it's serviceable. It will do the job.
Yeah, and watch it again.
Let's see what else we got. Lots of ice in US, Luke. That's from Gerard. G-Force or one folks don't talk about much is Cobra. Yeah, Cobra's
I do like Cobra, but I couldn't speak too much about it because I don't feel I've watched it enough and know enough about it. But I do like it.
There's a great story behind Cobra as well and how it came, but that's for a stream in its own. Manga Fandaga, you're the disease and I'm the cure. Oh, where are world.
Yeah, that was a great tagline. That Cobra poster, the movie poster, was a great poster.
Wrestling is not fake; it's choreographed. Those slams add up. Oh yeah, I mean, right, okay. So quick thing on wrestling, because the McMahon series is out at the moment, and a chap I work with was talking about it today, and I'm really interested. And an argument my mum and dad used to have their friends. We used to take turns to go back and forth to our neighbours across the road every other weekend. And my mate's dad used to mercilessly rip me for like in wrestling, it's fake. And my argument, even as a kid, used to be, but you watch Coronation Street in EastEnders, that's fake. But at least in wrestling, there's peril, there's risk, people get hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I was never a massive wrestling fan, even as a kid. I didn't watch it, and then when I found out it was all choreographed,
VTR comes in with.
Yeah, of course he's got one.
Yeah, Thunder Lips would love to find on card as well, but just don't come up.
Well. Yeah.
Vic says, thanks, guys. I want to say again to Vic, take it easy, mate. Get well, because...
Yeah, feel better. Please feel better soon, yeah.
Gerard, Tulsa King, amazing. Sliced got love the first series, but me and Mrs. APD, Carla, are waiting for series 2 to finish so we can binge watch it. And that's us at the end of the comments. So I just want to say massive thank you to everyone in the chat.
Thank you.
Sorry we don't get to all the comments, but you've been brilliant. I know this is a late one, so a few people have had to sort of leave, but, you know, if you want to catch up, that would be great. If you're not subscribed, please, you know, subscribe to the channel if you like what you've seen. Hit the like button and all that stuff, you know, because apparently you need to say that, and I never used to say it, but I'm going to say it from now on because, you know, if you enjoyed it, go on, guys, hit that like button because it does help the channel.
Of course it does. Yeah.
So that's enough about me. I am going to say before I ask Luke what he's got going on, if you don't follow Luke, why are you not following Luke? But the link to his channel is in the video description or the description for this stream.
Cheers, mate.
But
thank you.
Luke, here is your moment to talk about anything you've got coming up, anything you want to do. Go for your life.
What have I got coming up? Well, I mean, look, if obviously Reynolds Reviews on YouTube, I'm sure, I mean, look, everyone in the chat, I'd like to think I'm seeing a lot of familiar names in there. So if you don't follow me, like Nick said, link is in the description. Did you say the link was in the description, Nick?
Yep, you're all linked up, so you can find Luke nice and easily there.
So Reynolds Reviews YouTube channel, it's just show and tell, really, guys. I show some cool stuff, some old toys, some new toys. Just show and tell, hands in camera, and just try to show some cool bits. Any support would be much appreciated. But yeah, nothing coming up this weekend, but the weekend after, what will the weekend? Oh, the weekend after will be something that I've not had on the channel for a while. So we've got a Star Wars video coming the weekend after. We haven't had anything Star Wars on the channel for a while, so look out for that, folks.
Well, I thank the chat. I'm going to thank you, Luke. It's been a pleasure having you on, mate. You're always a great guest.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I've loved it. I'd love to do another one.
Well, you signed up for Universal Soldier now, thanks to Gerard O'Connor. So here we are.
I can't wait. It means I get a chance to watch it again as well. So
yeah, 100%. Guys, loved having you here. Thank you for always showing up in force. Thank you for always commenting. I love seeing the community having a chat while we're doing this as well. It's great to see people involved. Another thank you to Luke. Mate, it's time to say goodbye and do the awkward wave while I end the stream. So bye, guys, and see you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. See you later.